Now, we've done a number of features here on Radio Verulam on the role and the activities of the Lord Lieutenancy in Hertfordshire. We've spoken with the Lord Lieutenant himself, Mr. Robert Voss, and many of his deputies. I'm pleased to say we're joined today by another of the deputies from the Lieutenancy, Mr. Ant Chapman, who is here to talk to us about the military panel. Ant, very, very warm welcome to Radio Verulam. How are you?
Well, thanks, Steve, for that introduction. I'm very well, thank you.
So, can you first of all position your role within the Lieutenancy? Many of our listeners will be now familiar with the sort of overall principles, but what is the role of the military panel?
So, I chair the military panel, as you said, which is the panel within the Lieutenancy that is involved with liaising with the military units in the county on behalf of the Lord Lieutenant and on behalf of Her Majesty. There are 7 of us, and we all have current or previous military experience. And so we're able to understand the requirements of the people we talk to, and we make sure that we represent the military in the best way we possibly can on behalf of the Lord Lieutenant.
My knowledge of Hertfordshire isn't great, but it's not especially renowned for having big military bases or docks or anything like that. What's the situation regarding military presence in Hertfordshire?
Well, it's a great question, because we do and we don't. So we have a lot of cadet units in Hertfordshire from all 3 services, from the Army, the Navy and the Air Force across the whole county. We have 3 reserve units. We have one in Hitchin and one in Hertford that are both Army, a medical regiment and an infantry regiment. And we also have HMS Wildfire, which is a Royal Navy Reserve unit over in Northwood near Watford, quite a long way from the sea. But we do have a Navy presence in the county, but we don't have any RAF, unfortunately. But actually, Wildfire is located at Northwood headquarters. For people who don't know, Northwood headquarters has been there since about 1939 and is a very large military establishment. There are over 2,500 personnel working on the site every day. Nearly 1,500 of those are military. A number of them are from international partners. And so in the county, we don't have particularly any regular military, but we do happen to have the UK's principal military headquarters. So it's a bit of a mix, really. To give people some context about relevant recent events, the recent evacuation of UK nationals from Afghanistan, Operation Pitting, was all conducted through Northwood in Hertfordshire. So we play a pretty important part in the landscape of the UK military through having that headquarters in the county, which is something that the Lord Lieutenant takes seriously, and we try and make sure we support them in any way we can. They don't need much support. They're a very, very professional organisation with highly capable people. So I don't think I could for a moment suggest that they would need much support from us.
But as you said in the beginning, you do have a military background, and therefore you have the right language and attitude to be able to communicate with the military at different levels. What exactly is the role of the panel then? What typically would your duties be as the chairman of this particular panel?
The main thing is about recognition and reward. We are, on behalf of Her Majesty, through the Lord Lieutenant, looking to get out to as many people as we can and recognise them. So the Lord Lieutenant has annually his Meritorious Service Awards. So every year, all the different units from the cadets and the reserve forces put up people who they think who've gone above and beyond. And if their applications pass the sort of criteria we look for, they get an award from the Lord Lieutenant, a Meritorious Service Award. And we have a presentation every year, an awards evening, where those are handed out. And it's to adult cadet instructors, it's to cadets themselves. A couple of years ago, we had a young cadet who was close by a vehicle accident, and because the young lady had done some first aid, she stepped in, she used her training, and in those sort of circumstances went above and beyond. And so it's recognising those type of events. We go to parades, we go to functions, we go to units' own awards ceremonies. I was in Hatfield last week with the RAF cadets for the investiture of, I think it was 6 of their newest cadets. And it's just turning up to be a presence, to say thank you to them, and to provide that connection through me, through the Lord Lieutenant, and to Her Majesty, which we think is important.
You've mentioned cadets a number of times, and I didn't really appreciate the number of cadets that we have in Hertfordshire, or indeed the linkage to the military at this level. What's the relationship between the Lord Lieutenant's office and the cadet forces?
Again, it's about providing that connection, because those who serve in the military, including the cadets, look to serve, and we are all ultimately serving Her Majesty, the head of all the armed forces. And that's what we do. And so the relationship with the cadets is really close, and that's most visible through the Lord Lieutenant's cadets, where each year the Lord Lieutenant appoints 4 cadets who become his Lord Lieutenant's cadets for the year. And they're drawn from the Army, the Navy, and the Air Force through their cadet organisations, the Army Cadet Force, the Royal Air Force Cadets, the Sea Cadet Corps, and the St John Ambulance Cadets. And all 4 of those are appointed through a rigorous selection, whereby their organisations vet, put forward, and then propose candidates to be Lord Lieutenant's cadets. And then a panel sits that includes me. It includes the chair of the local Reserve Forces and Cadets Association. And we then work out if these youngsters are good enough, and then we put them forward to the Lord Lieutenant, who then agrees with that proposal, and then they become Lord Lieutenant's cadets. And after that lengthy process, these really are the finest youngsters in those organisations. And listening to their citations is really, really impressive, considering these are 16 and 17-year-olds.
And what a huge accolade it must be to be even considered for selection for that, and to be even shortlisted. But to actually get the accolade of being one of the Lord Lieutenant's cadets must be something which will stay with them forever. What actually happens while they are in that position? What additional responsibilities or duties do they have?
They're just fantastic. They're clearly doing all their schoolwork, plus most of them are volunteering, plus they're doing things as well as that in the sporting arena. Then they do their cadet activities. So when they're working with us, with the Lord Lieutenant, they're another visible representation that the Lieutenancy is closely aligned with the military. And it sort of reinforces that element, and also shows that we value the efforts of the youth, just trying to show that they can bring so much value to the county. They will do various things, from assisting the Lord Lieutenant if he has to present awards. I did some work with the Lord Lieutenant recently, where Her Royal Highness Princess Anne came to the county, and one of the cadets was with me, and other cadets were with the Lord Lieutenant, to be there to assist and to be a visible military presence while those visits are taking place.
With so many cadets across the different services there must be some pressure on finding people to run cadet forces and to contribute and help look after people as they develop through this. Is there a way that people can help?
Well, Steve, I'm really grateful for you asking that question. It's so important. We have so many cadets. If you take the cadets and the other uniformed youth organisations, the Scouts, the Guides, there's over 20,000 of them in the county. And we need adult instructors. So if there's anyone out there who feels that they would like to give something back, you don't have to have had previous experience. You don't have had to be in the military. You don't have to be in the Foreign Police Service. Get onto Google and find out what you can. And if you feel like you could do something, those cadets would be really, really grateful.
Now, we are coming to a particularly poignant time of year. The coming week, the country will pause to remember those who've been affected by military conflict, who've suffered through it, obviously with Armistice Day and then Remembrance Sunday on Thursday and Sunday, respectively. This is an important part of the role of the Lord Lieutenant. How does he commemorate, and how does his office commemorate these important events?
Well, it is really, really important. I mean, it is the one time of the year when we all come together to remember. So the Lord Lieutenant will be out on Armistice Day on the 11th, and he will be at the police headquarters in Welwyn Garden City at an event there. And then on Remembrance Sunday, the Lord Lieutenant will be in the county town in Hertford in the morning, and then in Watford in the afternoon at some of the larger parades that are taking place over that weekend of remembrance.
And do you have a register of all of the parades and events which are taking place, or do you just know about the larger ones, as you've said, that he would be attending himself?
So the Lord Lieutenant has a team of about 40, just more than 40 deputy lieutenants now, and we cover the whole county. So within the regions, we're asked to go out to our own regions, for me in Welwyn Garden City. So I've been in touch with the council here in Welwyn Garden City and Hatfield to find out where they're parading. Would they like a presence from us? Would they like us in attendance? And then from that, we produce a list of all the events that we'll try to go to. We attended more than 30 last year, and we're going to try and be at even more than that this year.
So that's attended by either the Lord Lieutenant himself or yourself, or the deputies and the cadets as well?
Yes, so there's the Lord Lieutenant, the Vice Lord Lieutenant, the 40 or so deputies, the cadets. I think it's our turn to weekend, if I were to use a military phrase. We turn to, and that's where we really do go and do what we can do to represent the Lord Lieutenant and Her Majesty, because that of all weekends is of real importance, especially to those of us who have served.
People will want to commemorate this weekend in different ways, some publicly and some privately. But if they do want to go to a public event, is there a register or a list of places they can go to?
No, it's not on our website because it tends to get duplicated. So a lot of the different regions across the county have their own ways of expressing where the parades are taking place. And as we all know from our own local areas, all the major cities across the county will be doing something of some scale, I would imagine. Especially, St Albans, I know, has a parade every year that is very, very well attended. And it must be said that the people taking part in those parades, it is really appreciated when people turn up and make that even more of an occasion from the number of people who come along to support.
Well, Ant, thank you very much for joining us today on Radio Verulam and sharing some of the insights into the work of the Lord Lieutenancy. I'm beginning to feel we've got a good idea about what's going on now. And as always, we owe so much to people who, like yourself, who are doing this kind of work. And this is completely voluntary, all the work that you do for the county. So on behalf of the residents and of St Albans and Hertfordshire, thank you and the Office of the Lord Lieutenancy for everything that you do for the county. Thank you for joining us.
Well, thank you very much indeed. It's been a real pleasure.